A rabbit looks like a cheap pet at the shop. Then the first vet bill lands, and the number is nothing like what you pictured. I'm a fellow Singapore rabbit owner, not a vet, so this isn't medical advice. It's an honest money talk, owner to owner, about what a rabbit really costs here in year one and every single month after that. Let's start by killing the myth. A rabbit is sold next to the hamsters in a small enclosure for a small price, so your brain files it as a small pet. That framing is the most expensive mistake new owners make. The truth is that a rabbit sits closer to a cat or a small dog on the cost ladder. It is a mid-range pet, not a starter pet, and the bill that proves it usually arrives in the first year. I'm not telling you this to scare you off. I'm telling you so the numbers are never a shock. Here's the plan for today. The honest setup cost, the one-time neuter, the real monthly running cost, the vet reality including emergencies, insurance versus a savings fund, the hidden costs, how to budget, and then a realistic year one total. So let's begin with setup, the things you buy before the rabbit even comes home. This is the part people do budget for, and it's also the part they underestimate. You need a proper pen, not a tiny cage. That little shop enclosure is fine for the car ride home and nothing else. An exercise pin runs you somewhere around $60 to $120, and a grid panel or large crate setup can run higher than that. Then the smaller pieces add up fast. A litter box or two, a hidey for them to feel safe, ceramic bowls, a water source, and a hay rack. Each one is cheap on its own, but together the basic kit lands somewhere around $150 to $400. Next comes rabbit proofing, and this is the line almost everyone forgets. Cable covers, baseboard guards, corner protectors, and panels to block off the spots you don't want them in. Proofing is not optional in a flat. A rabbit will chew a charger cable in seconds, and the proofing kit, somewhere around $90 to $240, is far cheaper than the damage and the danger it prevents. Then there are the starter supplies. Your first stock of hay, a bag of pellets, the first couple of weeks of greens, litter for the first month, a few chew toys, a basic grooming kit, and a carrier for vet trips. A decent carrier alone is around $30 to $80, and you will use it more than you expect. All in, that first supply run is roughly $150 to $370, and then the rabbit itself. Adopting from a local rescue is often the kindest and the cheapest path, sometimes $0 to $200, and that fee frequently includes the neuter and the first health check. A pet shop or breeder rabbit costs more, anywhere from under $100 up past $500, depending on breed. Either way, add a first vet visit of roughly $80 to $200 to get a baseline on your new rabbit's health. So before we even reach the surgery, sensible setup for a small breed lands most owners somewhere around $1,000 to $1,800. That is the floor, not the whole story. Now the big one-time cost that catches people off guard, the neuter or spay. This is not a luxury, it's basic welfare, and it prevents serious health problems down the line. For a male, neutering at a clinic with real rabbit experience runs roughly $150 to $350. A female spay is more involved surgery, so expect somewhere around $300 to $600. And specialist hospitals sit at the higher end. Prices vary a lot between clinics, and the cheapest headline number is not always the real number. Ask for an itemized quote, because blood work, take-home pain relief, and the follow-up check are sometimes billed on top. And please don't be tempted to save money by skipping a rabbit-savvy vet here. Rabbit anesthesia is genuinely higher risk than it is for a cat or dog, and that experience is exactly what you are paying for. So that's the upfront picture. Now let's talk about the part that never stops, the monthly running cost, because this is where the small pet myth really falls apart. Hay is the foundation of the whole diet, and a single adult rabbit gets through a fair amount of it. Budget somewhere around $30 to $80 a month, and better quality hay sits at the higher end. Pellets are a smaller line, roughly $10 to $25 a month for a good bag. Fresh greens, the daily vegetables, add somewhere around $30 to $80 depending on where you shop. Then litter, which is its own surprise. Depending on the type you choose, paper pellet, wood pellet, or recycled newsprint, monthly litter can run anywhere from around $15 up to $100, because a single rabbit gets through a lot of it. Add a little for enrichment and replacing chewed up toys. And one more line most owners forget completely: air conditioning, because our heat is a real welfare issue for a rabbit, and the electricity to keep their room cool is a genuine cost. Put the routine pieces together, and a single healthy rabbit runs roughly $150 to $300 a month. Most owners settle somewhere in the middle of that once they stop guessing. Now the part I most want you to take seriously: the vet reality. Routine care is the predictable bit. An annual checkup is roughly $80 to $150, and that visit is cheap insurance against catching a problem late. But rabbits are prey animals. They hide illness until it's serious, and when it tips over, it tips fast. The classic emergency is gut stasis, where the digestive system slows and stops. It can become life-threatening within hours, which is why a rabbit that stops eating is a same-day vet trip, not a wait and see. A milder stasis case caught early, treated as an outpatient with fluids and gut support, might be around $200 to $450. One that needs a day or two of hospital care runs far higher, somewhere around $800 to $1,800. The difference often comes down to how quickly you got there, and stasis is only one scenario. A womb infection in an unspayed female can mean emergency surgery in the low thousands. A dental abscess workup with imaging and extraction can climb higher still. This is the honest heart of the whole video. A single bad weekend at the exotic vet can cost more than a year of routine care, and it tends to arrive with no warning and no payment plan. So the real question is not whether you'll face a big vet bill, it's whether you'll be ready for it when you do. That brings us to the two ways owners prepare. Option 1 is pet insurance for rabbits, which does exist here but is younger and thinner than dog or cat cover. Premiums run roughly $25 to $60 a month, and the exclusions matter a lot. Read the fine print, because routine care, dental and pre-existing conditions are commonly excluded, and dental is exactly where some of the big bills come from. Insurance can still soften a catastrophic bill, especially for an older rabbit. Option 2 is a self-funded emergency pot, money you set aside that has no exclusions, no claim forms, and no waiting period. A useful way to size it is in tiers, building it up over time rather than trying to find it all at once. A sensible first tier is around $800 in cash you can reach at 3 in the morning. A stronger target is around $2,500 within the first year, and around $5,000 by year 2 if your budget allows. For a young, healthy, neutered rabbit, that self-funded fund usually comes out ahead over a lifetime. For an older or higher risk rabbit, insurance can earn its keep. Some owners do a bit of both. Whichever you pick, the rule is the same. Have a plan before the emergency, not during it, because the worst time to figure out money is when your rabbit is the one struggling. Now the hidden costs, the quiet ones that creep past your budget. Household damage from chewing in year 1, replacement supplies as things wear out, and boarding when you travel, often around $30 to $50 a day. And the biggest hidden cost of all is simply the years. A rabbit can live 8 to 12 years, so this is a long-term commitment, where the monthly figure quietly stacks into tens of thousands over a lifetime. That is not a reason to panic, it is a reason to plan. So how do you budget for all this sensibly? Start by separating two pots in your head. Routine spending comes out of your normal monthly income, and the emergency fund is a separate buffer that sits on top, untouched. Then automate it. Set a fixed monthly transfer into the emergency pot, somewhere around $50 to $100, and keep it in a separate account you don't dip into for anything else. And trim costs the smart way. Buy hay in bulk, sometimes splitting an order with another owner. Shop your greens at the wet market. Reuse clean cardboard as free enrichment, and compare vet quotes for the big procedures. Just never cut the things that protect health, like cooling in our heat, good quality hay, and that annual checkup. Cutting those tends to cost far more later. So let's put real numbers on year 1. A typical single rabbit, adopted with sensible setup, the neuter, 12 months of running cost, and the starter emergency buffer, lands somewhere around $5,000 across that first year. Yours might be a little under or a little over, but that is the honest ballpark. From year 2 onward, With the big one-time cost behind you, a healthy rabbit settles into roughly $2,500 to $3,500 a year, or call it a couple $100 a month in routine care. That is the steady number to plan your life around. So to bring it all together, a rabbit is not a cheap starter pet. It's a mid-range, long-term commitment with a real setup cost, a real monthly cost, and the vet reality that can spike hard without warning. The owners who do well are not the ones who spend the most. They're the ones who saw the true numbers early, budgeted honestly, and had the emergency money ready before they ever needed it. If this helped, the website is Singapore Rabbit. Come with a free weekly digest of practical rabbit care and a directory of rabbit-savvy vets across Singapore for when that bigger bill arrives. Go in with eyes open and a buffer ready, and the cost stops being scary. It just becomes the price of a happy, healthy bun. Give yours a gentle nose rub from me.